Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, is my co-hostess, Vanessa Hogel. We have a fantastic episode coming up for you tonight. Really honored to have Jim Penniston with us from the Rendlesham Forest Incident. He's retired U.S. Air Force, so actually one of my brethren. I spent 6 years in the Air Force, so really a pleasure to have him on. He has the new book out, the Rendlesham Enigma, and this is anything and everything you ever wanted to know about the Rendlesham Forest Incident. It is a massive book. I've only got a little bit through it because shipping right now is a little bit slow, and it's huge. But I highly recommend it. And Jim, tell us about the book and what's going on here.
Well, the book is only you can only get it on Amazon.com. Well, you can get it a few other places, like you can order it through Walmart or Goodreads, some places like that. But Amazon.com is the best deal going. And if you got like Amazon Unlimited, hey, it's free. You get the Kindle.
Right. So. Yeah, if you have Unlimited, it's a free book. So, just a real quick recap: Rendlesham Forest Incident. I know we really want to talk about the book and get into kind of the details here. But this was your experience in 1980 where you had an encounter with an unidentified aircraft, and you were security police in the United States Air Force at the time. So just real quick run through.
Yeah, quickly, a little bit of background for people who aren't familiar with the area. It was in the southeast England. It was about 50 miles northeast of London. Or sat right on the coast. There was twin bases, RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, and they were separated 3 miles geographically by Rendlesham Forest. And the main operating base was RAF Bentwaters, and that's where our command centers, our security control, wing control. I mean, they were all over at Bentwaters. But we also had a couple squadrons of aircraft over at Woodbridge, and I was the security supervisor that night for the restricted areas and the base. And it started out as usual. Boring, routine, mundane, all those things. We took my guys. I had my security alert team post them at their posts. I started doing my lighting check, which is a perimeter lighting check. Well, that's boring. If we run into a burn-out light bulb, you go, okay, L number 7, burn out, and then you call that in. And
right.
You do a heart, you do aircraft plots, things like that, just normal.
Sure.
Anyway, I had finished all that stuff. It was about midnight, and I went over to the chow hall to get some midnight chow, and I get a call from security control, the landline. And he says, I'm supposed to go to Eastgate. There's a situation out there. And I said, okay. I said, what's going on? And they wouldn't tell me, which is just like completely crazy because they always tell you that.
Right.
They said, no, the patrolman will brief you when you get there. And I just said, keep the chatter off the radio. And I said, okay. And they said, run code 2. I said, I'm going to go code 2, which is lights on.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you're not going to tell me? He says, believe me, you're not going to get shot at or something. Okay, that's what they told me. So, okay. So it takes about 5 minutes to get there with code 2, 40, 45 miles an hour. I arrived there, and there is the senior patrolman, Bud Steffens, staff sergeant, and Aaron Burrows, who was riding with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's going on, Bud?
I think we lost him here for a second.
And we lost
Still with
him.
us, Jim?
Freezing up just a little bit.
I said, what's going on? I'm trying to... How about now?
We got you.
It's a little better.
Yeah. The internet has been just flaky all day everywhere. So, from what I've heard.
I have high-speed internet. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm okay right now?
Yep, we're good.
So far.
As long as you can hear me. And so I said, what's going on? And Bud just pointed to the, off base about 150, 200 yards into the Rendlesham Forest, and you could see, lights emulating out of the woods. And there was a dome of light over the top of it. In this area of Suffolk, England, I mean, it's out in the country. It's dark. Okay. So all that stuff stood out. And I says, I seen the multiple color lights inside the forest from that distance. And I said, did you hear it crash? Because it sort of looked like an aircraft crash. And he says, no. He says, it didn't crash. He says, that landed. I said, that's impossible. It's impossible because the trees are only like 6 feet apart.
Yeah, this is pretty
I mean,
compact in there.
Yeah, and the pines are probably 100, between 75 and 100 feet tall. They're pretty tall. Maybe I'm exaggerating that a little bit. Maybe they're 75 feet. I don't know. And so I went over to the east gate, which had a direct line to the law enforcement desk. I picked it up, told them to patch me through the central security control, because once I arrived there, it was no longer a law enforcement issue or protocols. It was security.
Okay.
And so I assumed operational command and control. And when I called Central Security Control, just to give you a fast overlay, you get like 5 people on the line at the same time. It's all instantaneous.
Gotcha.
You have the controller, you have the comm plotter, you have the shift commander, you have the flight chief. Just everybody's there. And I says, yeah, well, it looks like a possible aircraft crash. I says out in the Rendlesham Forest, and so everybody's doing their stuff. I mean, Sergeant Coffey, the controller, he's getting a hold of London radar, Eastern radar, Bentwaters radar, trying to see if there was any object, flying.
Right.
And he comes back in just seconds later. And he says, "Yeah, you have confirmation of a lost bogey 15 minutes ago. It was a signature on radar that was lost over Woodridge Base." So now we have confirmation of a downed aircraft, because I got the visual, he's got the radar losing it, and the ship commander, I got a hold of the base commander, Colonel Conrad, through the wing command post, and got us permission to go off base. I'll tell you right now, to that point in time, I've probably been to, 20, 22, 23 aircraft crashes.
Sure.
Probably 5 or 6 that were A-10s.
Oh, wow.
There's no survivors. Okay?
Right.
There's not much there. And usually they dig about 25 feet in the ground. I don't want to get into too grisly.
No, that's fine.
All right. Right. And so there was no need to take weapons off base. What I was going to do is I took the crash kit. The crash kit we carried right in the Jeep, in the CJ5 we had in the back. I took the plotting board out, which I was going to go ahead and plot the enter control point, the emergency one. That's where we set up at a convenient place for all the first responders, the fire department, medical, mortuary, wherever. And I had that sort of figured out where I was going to put it. And I deployed off base with the security airman, who it was his first or second night, the poor guy.
Right.
And then the law enforcement airmen. And so we went through, and I'll tell you what, at that time we had cuttings. The cuttings, what the British do is they grow the forest like crops. They get them to a certain height and they cut them, and they replant them, and they cut them.
Oh, interesting.
So this is, this is the Queen's Forest. It's all berms, earthen berms.
Okay.
Because it's already been cut. So, I get, probably 150 yards down the road from the east gate. My Jeep, I can't go any farther. I think I'm going to tip it over. So I figured this was a good spot for the enter control point. So I set up my security airman, Airman Kabadzak, and he's the only other guy who had a radio anyway. And I says, okay, we were having radio transmissions. I told him, I says, help me, relay information, to Eastgate. By that time, Sergeant Chandler, the flight sergeant from Bentwaters, had arrived there, took my place, and I said, just relay the stuff to Sergeant Chandler, and he'll get it to CSC, Central Security Control. And they train those guys really good down at Lackland, because Aaron Kabadzak says, no problem. It's like his second night. He's got it, man. He was ready to go. But he's looking at the same stuff we're looking at. He's looking over in that woods, and he's seeing multiple color lights just flashing around. And it's like, I really know that's not an aircraft crash. That's what I wish it was. That was the reason to deploy off base. Like I said, the radio, I was having difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was having radio difficulties, and that's impossible. By the way, we had repeating systems. You said you were in the Air Force. I don't know what you did, but what was your field?
I was computers. I was 3 Charlie Oscar.
Okay.
Yep.
They had the repeater systems all over the base.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way you could have a dead spot. Okay, it just then we had Motorola's, and it's ancient now. You look back at the 80s, the technology was ancient.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. We didn't have computers,
Yeah.
So as
but
we
it
approached,
worked.
Yeah, it worked. It kept us safe. Won the Cold War, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
You can outspend anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we approached the forest, I started getting to a tree line, and then I started feeling things like static electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on my face and skin, hair, clothes. That was odd. I mean, it wasn't adrenaline. I mean, I'm pretty used to these crash scenes, so it's not adrenaline. Right. But it was continuous. Then I started in the forest. I got Burroughs, who's about 20 feet to my right. I got Cabanzac sitting about 50 feet to my left rear. And I'm not hearing anybody on the radio. So in hopes that I'm doing they can hear me, which is a good probability, I keep doing my security checks.
Sure.
I keep letting them know what I'm doing. And I got maybe 3 or 4 feet inside the forest, and I terminate the downed aircraft security response option because it wasn't a downed aircraft.
Right.
There just was no burning. There was no fuel. There was no debris. I mean, I terminated it. And so I initiated a helping hand situation, which is a security up-channel report of a possible hostile threat to priority A, B, or C resources at the base. And that's what we had there. And Sergeant Coffey took the helping hand, and he up-channeled it to Wing Command Post. He tells me this stuff later. Okay, I find all this stuff afterwards.
Okay.
So I started to proceed in farther, and there's a big flash of light. I mean, it was like just boom. No sound, though. So it was just reaction. I hit the ground, and then I see that, Burroughs over there had went down too, and we got up. I started brushing myself off, and he's just standing there motionless. And I said, "What the hell's that?" And I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with him?" And as I entered, because I got this situation in front of me, right. And I'm unarmed too, by the way. So I get there a little bit farther, and there's a berm, and I start to go over this berm, and there's just a bright light that's going on there, and this bright light starts to dissipate. As I walk toward it, I'm having problems physically getting there. My movements felt labored.
Okay. So you're kind of like trudging along to get in there?
Well, it'd be the comparison to it would be like being in a pool of water.
Oh, okay.
Waist high, and you're trying to walk to the other side of the water to in a pool.
Yeah.
It's you're labored.
Gotcha. Okay.
The closer I got to the top of the berm, the less labored I got. And there was complete silence. So as I come over there, I still see this big, huge, white, dull light that's coming, just sitting there in between the trees.
Okay.
And then it starts to dissipate. So I'm going, and I had been taking pictures up to the point where I got to the bottom of the berm. Turned out it wouldn't have made no difference anyway if I still had film or not. None of it turned out.
Yeah.
it started dissipating down, and I started seeing a structured craft, a triangular craft, and then I could start seeing like multiple lights running through the skin of the craft, the fabric of the craft. I was pretty dismayed, and finally the white light dissipated altogether. There was some still coming out of the bottom of it, and then these lights that were once active running through this fabric, and they're multiple colors, globular in shape.
Mm-hmm.
They just dissipated too, and then all was left is a black, opaque craft.
And what's interesting is, and you just said the word there, fabric, and I noticed that within the book you use the word fabric a lot. Is that really what it looked and felt like? Was like some sort of fabric?
No, it felt like metal.
It felt like metal. Okay.
Fabric is just the stuff that goes on the outside of something. You know, maybe it's the Air Force term. I don't know. Anyway, maybe just
okay. I got you now. Okay.
I don't know.
There we go.
And the skin of the craft, anyway. And so I'm out of film. I'm the only thing I can do, because I don't know if it's a threat or not yet. I believe it is, because I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
I'm calling my security checks, and I pull out my notebook, and so I'm getting as much information as I can. I look over, and I got Burroughs over to the right. He's motionless. I figure, he's a casualty. He's not moving. He's in amp. I look back to Cabanzac. He's not moving. Nobody's moving except me.
Except you. Yeah.
That's so. I'm gonna write down as much information as I can get, because I don't think I'm gonna survive it, and then it'll leave something for the command structure of the base to work with. And
right.
That's what else are you gonna do in that situation? And so I started to do things. I didn't have nothing to measure it with, so I used what I had. I pasted off. My stride's pretty good. I'm 6'2", so three of my strides. That's about 9 feet. That's how long it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that on all sides. It was about 6.5 to 7 feet high, even though it was sitting above the forest.
And so that's really interesting, actually, the way you described that. This thing is sitting there in the middle of the forest, and you're actually pacing it off.
Right. Well, I mean, the first pacing of it, I'm going, how in the hell is this thing? What's it sitting on?
Right.
It's not sitting on the floor of the forest. And I look, so I look underneath it, and all I see is light coming out of the bottom, this white light. But I could see indentions in the ground.
Okay.
So, more stuff I cannot understand. Prior to this, by the way, I'll just let you know, I was at Offutt Air Force Base. I was at Sac Elite Guard. I did security for 36 generals out of Omaha.
Wow.
And I was always at classified briefings, prototype, research and development. We had everything I could possibly seen programmed for 50 years. What it was sitting there wasn't it. Okay. It didn't match any of that.
Quick question, Jim, before you go on, just because of something you just said. You said you paced it off. Mm-hmm. You're 6'2", your strides are approximately 3 feet. So 3 strides, 9 feet, all sides. So would it have been considered a square? Is that correct?
No, it's a triangle.
A triangle?
Shape.
Triangle.
And
yep.
In those particular forests, the trees are planted approximately 6 feet apart.
Yeah, but there's a clearing.
There was a clearing?
So I left that out. That's so important. Yeah, there was a clearing. Thanks. Good question. Good question. Yeah, there was a clearing there. So there was an area about 15 feet. Okay. That's
so
but still, how did it get there?
But that's my question, is because when you first started talking about the story, and it's automatically assumed a craft had crashed, yet there didn't appear to be any type of indication of explosion or anything of that nature. I have an ex-husband who's in the Air Force, so I know everything you're talking about.
Okay, good.
So it's very interesting to me, having been in the forest in England myself, and of the wildlife and everything that's there, and I'm very familiar with it. To me, it seems that whatever it was, which we haven't gotten to yet, appeared to have scoped this out prior to, and was able to land appropriately. Because clearings like that are few and far between.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. There was. I tell you what. I've been out there since, and those clearings are probably on the whole Rendlesham area there. I would say there's probably only 4 clearings like that, maybe, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just not many clearings. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of things I wasn't understanding with this craft, and but I was feeling better since it looked inert at that point in time. It was letting me look at it and look underneath. I mean, but I started looking for things that would make it fly. I mean, I'm looking for flaps, I'm looking for ailerons, I'm looking for crew compartments, I'm looking for all kinds of things that the airplanes have that make them fly. This was void of everything that a normal airplane would have. I couldn't see no crew compartments. The other thing is the metal on it wasn't riveted at all. It was just consistently all the same. No seams, nothing like that. And so as I walked around, and by the way, now all I got is just a feeling of static electricity. I mean, I got pretty good movement, and as I walk around, I'm seeing writing or on the craft, and it has a big dorsal fin on it, that goes up out of the craft. I think it's on the front cover of that book. I think the craft is, and anyway, as I walk around, I see there's writing on it. I was like, oh, thank God, it's going to say, United States Air Force, it's going to say NASA, it's going to say Soviet. I don't know, it's anything. I was feeling pretty good because this looked something that we could create. And as I came back around, I didn't see no like numbers or anything like that, like normal aircraft would have on it. There was a glyphs that were etched into the side of the craft. They measured about 3 feet. I'm going by my arms again. They measured about 3 feet long, and then on top of there's 5 of them, and on top of them there was another bigger one. It was circular with a triangle on that.
And this is what's on the cover of the book, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly what I've seen, and in that, and that's what I recorded in my notebook, just like that. And so the fabric of this craft is smooth, glass-like. That's what it feels like, even though it's metal. But when I was going by and I touched the glyphs, as I would, go ahead and, touch those, and it was like going from, okay, do you get all that?
Yeah, you broke up a little, but we got it. Yeah.
Okay. And so it felt like sandpaper.
Yes.
So I'm walking around. I feel pretty good now. It looks like I got a lot of time. I'm still alive. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm calling in my security checks. Still no response. I figure I got all the time in the world till the response force gets there from the base. So I'm just going to pretty much do another 360 walk around and see if I can figure out anything or see anything else. And as I went back around the second time, I says, those glyphs, there's something to that, because the one that got my eye was the triangular one with the
sure, yeah.
Why is this separate? Why is this on top? Why?
Well, and the others look kind of like hieroglyphs, while the circular one looks completely different, like something else.
Yeah, it seemed more familiar to me. It was a triangle.
Yeah.
It felt better. And so I just reached over and I touched it. And when I did that, I mean, it was a bright light. I mean, I can't see nothing but white, pure white light. And in there, I start seeing numbers, ones and zeros. And oh my God, what the hell is going on? And I started gaining my senses. I don't know how long I had my hand on it. I just lifted it off, and everything completely stopped, back to normal. And I tell you what, I still had my night vision. I mean, this place,
really?
Night vision takes
even
about 30
after
minutes. Oh yeah,
Wow.
night vision would take me 35, 40 minutes to regain that. I still had it. So it wasn't light. It was a
Interesting.
technology that I didn't understand,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
Have you suffered after this incident, considering what you went through to get up over the areas to get to the craft, and what you felt, the pull within your body? Have you suffered any repercussions from any type of radioactive activity towards you? Any skin discolorations, malformations, anything within your muscular or your skeletal structure?
No, I had a few health problems right after the incident. Dizziness, stuff like that. But I'll tell you what. I don't think I maybe got the flu one time in my life. Okay, I don't get sick. I say that too much now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
I don't get sick. No. I had all those inoculations anyway. For whatever they're.
Yeah, that's true. You go in, they give you everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot worse. No, I don't. No repercussions at all. Matter of fact, I've been pretty healthy. The only thing I did do is I went to Washington, D.C. with Burroughs for that citizens hearing because he was telling me that he thought that it was that the military wasn't taking care of him at the VA.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. I mean, he was down in Arizona, though. You know about those guys. They've been in the news and they weren't doing their job. So, yeah, there's problems. And so I went there with him on that. And then General Williams, the wing commander, retired. And then Colonel Halt, the deputy base commander, retired. They did a couple letters for us like 5-6 years ago. And, we got treatment, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an issue.
But during this time, you've just
no, I haven't had any physical effects.
Yeah, she was asking about physical effects from touching this, but you were getting blasted with all those ones and zeros in your mind, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
to me.
I mean, okay, so I back off of the craft because I'm starting to see the color going back through the craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, holy shit, what did I do? Activate something by touching it? Is it going to explode because I screwed around with it? And I didn't know. And so I backed away about 10 feet. I got in the ground, dug a hole. That's how close to the ground I got because I thought something was going to, and the colors moving through it. It starts to emulate bigger white light. It goes ahead and lifts off the forest floor. And get this now. You still got me on the internet?
Yeah, you're good. We got you.
Okay. I got a little notice there, said you couldn't hear me. Anyway, as I lifted up, keep this in mind. Remember the trees I said were 6 feet apart outside that clear zone there?
Yeah.
Well, it hovered back through the trees. And I'll tell you what, it's 9 feet, wide because I paced that off. So how's it doing that? It goes back through the trees, maybe about 15, 20 feet, and then it elevates to the top of the forest treetops, and then makes a slight right turn, and it's gone in a blink of an eye.
Wow.
So it appeared to be able to alter its shape based on where it needed to go.
And maybe it did because I couldn't tell because it was the lighting was so bright I couldn't tell the shape of the craft at that point in time. See? Could
you notice any movement with the trees that it was going through?
When it went up, it broke branches and everything. Yeah.
Okay. That actually makes more sense to me than it altering its shape. Is it altering the shape of what's around it?
I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. It was solid. Anyway, the airman I discounted that was 20 feet to my right was right next to me at that point in time, and he was beside himself, and he said he reacquired it, which is impossible because that forest is so thick you can't see through it.
Right.
Okay, it's just too thick, and we're supposed to have a two-man concept, or not concept, but the two-man and team integrity, and he takes off.
He just went running.
Yeah. So I go with him because I'm responsible for him. And how am I going to explain, him getting hit by a car or something out there, or
Right.
break a leg? So anyway, we go over the first 2 fences. They hopped them right away. But one was barbed wire. I was a lot younger then. I could do that kind of stuff. I'm still chasing him through the farmer's field. It was still sort of wet in the center. I must have fell down 2 or 3 times. I was wet. It was cold. I was exhausted. And at the overpass the farmer houses, he finally stops. And I says, "What are you doing? What are you chasing?" And he goes, "I'm chasing the UFO." I says, "How in the hell can you see it?
Yeah,
Where
but it
is
was already gone.
Yeah, and he's like, "It's over there." And he points in the opposite direction. I said, "Where?" And so I have to look down his arm because I can't see it.
Right.
And I see on the horizon is this little light going on and off.
Right.
It's a lighthouse.
It's the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And this is something that's actually caused you guys a lot of headaches. Is the lighthouse part of it?
It caused Burroughs headaches because he wrote it in his statement.
Yeah.
The confusion. Okay, so it made it sound like that's all we ever seen. We were chasing. I was stationed there. I know a lighthouse. I know what it looked like. I know what it looks like with the beams going. It's a long ways away. Anyway, it's tore down now.
Okay.
I guess they removed it. I don't know. And so we go on back. We both go to CSC. We both reported. Ship commander's not crazy about. I wanted to say this is important. It's in the book.
Sure.
I went to Central Security Control, and on the way back on the bus, on the posting bus, I'm writing down, converting my civilian time into military time. To my notes. So the 1569, which is an incident and complaint report that goes on to the blotter.
Mm-hmm.
The blotter is a short entry. The incident report is 1 or 2 pages type. And I go in to see Sergeant Coffey. I said, "Okay." I said, "I got the times," and he hands me the incident and complaint report. I said, "You did it for me?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "We heard everything on the radio." I said, "You could hear everything I said?" He goes, "Yes," which is really important. Because at that time, our wing command post, they had these old reel-to-reel teak reel-to-reels.
Okay, yeah.
And they would record all the emergency channels on the base. And they would do that for 48 to 72 hours at a time. That's the tape that some people say there was videotape. No, it
was audio.
They had all, but that's also the tape that was given to General Gabriel 2 days later. He personally came in from Ramstein, picked it up, and that is probably the smoking gun, because that is me panicking, telling everything what's going on. Because the 1569, when I read it, had everything correct, everything. And Sergeant Coffey later has told me that same day, the men in the suits stuff, they were
right. Well, and the blotters went missing too, right?
The blotters were taken. They were taken by these guys. They were classified secret, which is a low-level clearance, but it gave them reason to pick it up. I think it's the same people that on the Monday morning when I went into the OSI building, I knew the OSI agents. There's about 8 of them. They had other things. They were looking for black marketing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But these other 2 guys were not from there, but one had a British accent, the other one had an American accent. Obviously, OSI at that time, overseas at that time, didn't work for the Air Force. They worked for the State Department.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it was probably someone out of London, the embassy or something. But they were asking questions. They wanted statements.
Sure.
They told me to. Anyway, I'll drop all that because the book's long. I wrote my statements. I wrote a fake one for them. I did all this. I did what they told me. Anyway, so I'm going home, and and Burroughs says, "Let's go back out there." This is after I dropped the film off at the base photo lab. I said, okay. I said, let's make it fast. I said, what the hell? Because I'm traumatized yet, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's been a long night.
And I'm thinking, this guy's, well, he ain't traumatized. I am. I don't know. I guess. Anyway, I said, okay, we'll do it.
Burroughs
So
seemed like he was really overexcited.
Yeah, he was. He was a hindrance because of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how overexcited it was. Yeah. I would give anything. It could have been Sergeant McCulley, the security response team leader, with me.
Right.
I didn't have a more experienced, security guy. Law enforcement, all they do is like do domestics and stuff like that. They act like they're more like police. They're not security.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, I get home. I go back out there and I do the plaster of Paris things. I went to my landlord, all this stuff. I get this stuff done. I finally make it home. It's late. I'm trying to go to sleep. I can't sleep during the daytime. I wake up around. I must have slept for about an hour, and I get up around 12:30 at night. That night, and I can't sleep. And I got these ones and zeros, running through my head. I said, "Oh, Jesus, I'm having a nervous breakdown. I can't go to the base hospital. What am I going to tell them? They had an experience with a craft of unknown origin, and now I'm seeing ones and zeros. Oh my God, there's the career. It's gone.
Yeah. They'll toss you somewhere and lock away the key, right?
Yeah, it's give us your weapons card. Your security clearance is gone. We'll start out processing right away.
Right.
Did you attempt to write it down, the binary code?
Oh, he did.
He did. I haven't seen the book yet.
Well, let me tell you what happened is that, I made a pot of coffee. I couldn't sleep anyway. What the hell? So I'm sitting at my dining room table. And so I'm now second guessing stuff, I'm traumatized. I get my notebook. I pull it from the dresser and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what I wrote, my notes and that. And I got these ones and zeros just running through my head. I said, man, you know what? I think I can write these damn things down. And so I just flipped to the back of the book. I had the notebook yet because that's paper was in my hand, and I started writing 00111 and when I did that, I felt better.
Uh-huh.
So,
and this is one of the pages here, right?
This is all in the mind's eye. Yeah, 01. There, that's it. And I write down 16 pages of these. And as I get, halfway through this, there's one of the pages, my pen, you know how it is, you got a pen that's sitting in a drawer and then all of a sudden it clogs up and doesn't write. I was panicking. I was feeling so good from it. I was panicking, looking for another pen. I find another pen and it starts again, right where I left off. And so I go right to the last page of this 16 pages and I can't see the ones and zeros no more. And I went, I feel pretty good.
So it was a download that they did on you, for lack of a better way of putting it. It was a download.
Apparently, there's some type of communication that was accomplished with touching this craft and activating this what appeared to be light but wasn't. That was the communication. Now, I still can't tell anybody this. It's just not a good career move.
No, at that time, no.
No, I figured I dodged a bullet because I don't have to go to the hospital now. I don't have to sit there and lose my career over this.
Yeah, it's all out of your head now onto the paper, right?
Yeah, matter of fact, even a pot of coffee, I went to bed and went to sleep. Slept all night. And so we get called in, I did have the notebook. I wasn't going to tell them about it, but when I got in the OSI building, man, those guys are a little rough on me, They told me this will go away if I tell them everything. And that's what I want, it to go away.
Right.
And so I tell them everything. But I don't tell them about the ones and zeros. Right. And you know what? That's their Achilles heel, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If it wasn't for that notebook, none of this would probably be in that book. None of this would be addressed.
You wouldn't really have much. Would you even be here at this point? This is really
probably not.
Yeah, this has kind of really been a life changer for you.
Oh, it is that. And I'll tell you what, it hasn't come without. It was life changing because, I mean, the PTSD stuff. I mean, all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I mean, I still take medication just so I can, deal with it, sleeping, and as a matter of fact, this time of right now, you're seeing me with about 2 hours sleep last night. I didn't sleep well, so
Gotcha.
it's yeah, but it goes through spurts. I don't know. I'm not an angry PTSD guy. I just
Well, that's good.
all I want to do is sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have trouble sleeping. The nightmares get bad, but I'm getting really good at it. I had a good doctor, and the medication works pretty good after about 10-year trial. So it's okay. I mean, it's important. This goes back to why talk all about it. Well, I'll tell you right now. Writing 2 books. The first one with Nick Pope, which I didn't write a lot, but I wrote some.
Mm-hmm.
And then writing this book was probably the biggest therapy thing I ever done in my life for myself.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, it was great.
That's really good.
And even this right here, even though I dreaded talking to you guys tonight.
Oh.
I mean, no, it's truth.
No offense. No offense.
That's fine. I get it.
Until I get going with it, I mean, I dreaded it, but it's a lot easier. I did a conference in Laughlin in November.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I dreaded it. Got up there, and then you couldn't shut me up. I don't know. The people deserve to hear the truth about Rendlesham. We've had over 3 to 4 decades of nothing but opportunists and entertainers making things up, trying to embellish things.
Well, they're like taking the fragments that they've picked up and are making something else out of it. But now we have your real story right here.
Yeah, and what is really the kicker is the part about Dr. Jack Safari from San Francisco. He's a theoretical physicist. He says the only answer what happened. His theory on there mirrors his research on the Tic Tac.
How so?
I mean, the meta material for the fabric, the shell of the craft.
Okay.
Why it would do a bubble, which I was in, the bubble around the
Mm-hmm.
craft, because it's got to do with changing the gravity, the perception of what you see. Oh, it just matches.
Interesting.
And Jack told me, he says, Jim, he says, I'm with you. He says, no wonder you never said it was a UFO. No wonder you never said it was alien. He says, because the one thing you always says, it was us from the future. And he says, I believe that. He says, I had a similar experience back in the 50s myself. He says, and all my research is actually toward that, and that this is an interdimensional travel, or a Hollywood term can be called time travel.
Right.
Interdimensional travel. He's a brilliant guy. He talks about how past, present, and future all is on the same, it's happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's something I talk about a lot here, actually.
Do you?
I do, yeah. I call it.
Conversation a lot.
I call it stacked time theory. Everything happening at the same time. Yep. Past, present, future. Exactly. So everybody has like a different term, like Einstein with space
books
time.
Out. You're gonna have to get one of his books.
I'll get one of his books, and check it out, and probably try to bring him on.
Well, yeah, try to get him on. He's a really brilliant guy. He is very nice to me. He talks at my level, which is like Dumb or Dumber, and because a physicist, I don't understand all the stuff he's saying. So you got to dumb it down. He does, So our research has been going on and on and on.
Good.
The binary is the key to it.
Now, while you were out there, you did lose like 45 minutes of time. So
yeah,
that's all part of it, right?
Yeah, but I realized that when I got back to CSC, my watch is 45 minutes off. To me, everything's instantaneous. My first thought is because of the static electricity and all the stuff. I had an electronic watch, and that was sort of high-tech at the time, an electric watch, battery operated. Maybe it was affected by that or something,
Okay.
Or it could have been something more nefarious. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff, you go, what if? So
now, what about the glyphs that were on it, the ones that you have on the cover of your book as well. Do you feel like there is any correlation between the binary code that you downloaded and the presentation of those images?
Okay. We had several research. We have a Rendlesham Forest research team that's been running for 10 years now, at least 10 years. And they include professors from the world, experts in their own areas. Most of them are active professors that depend on grants and as want their names mentioned. I can understand that, I guess. But the one in Cambridge in England, as a matter of fact, James Fox did a documentary called I Know What I Saw. He actually met with those people. I don't have his permission to say the name, but it's in that documentary. And he has determined that his theory on it is that these are mathematical, the glyphs are. Okay, and that makes sense because our research with the binary, which ties into the second part of what you're saying, because we're not reading the book, because this binary, there's a code within a code. And what it is, and it touches a little bit in the epilogue of the Rendlesham Enigma book. And what it goes in, that these locations are 7 around the world dealing with the binary. The way they interact, and they interact within an inch globally, which is pretty good. One of the things that has shown that there's a hidden chamber within Giza. We're waiting for that to be discovered. We're waiting. That will be there, I have no doubt. And another one it points out is this. It seems like the key one on these binary is probably High Brazil. That's what they call it. It's off of Ireland.
Yeah, off the coast of Ireland. Yep.
I think I'm saying it. I think it's High Brazil. Yeah.
A lot of people pronounce it High Brazil, but I've heard it High Brazil as well. So
I know what you're talking about. I was just in Ireland.
Yeah. It's southwest off of the coast, and there's actually when I do my briefing, we have a satellite imagery of it. There is actually an island that sits 80 feet underneath the sea there, and it's there. I mean, so maybe when the seas were a little bit different, or
back during the ice ages, when the definitely when the seas were lower. So it could have been a thriving community there. So it makes sense.
So there's a lot more to the book than what is just the Rendlesham Forest Incident itself of December of 1980. I go into the aftermath because I kept all my journals. I had them for all those years, and the things that happened, who was involved. I mean, I had, for example, recently, 2015, the CIA was still in contact. They wanted to contact. They set up a meeting. It's in the book. I haven't
gotten there yet.
It's
a big book.
It's under the Rockford Colloquium.
Okay.
So that's where that's at. And it has they've come out for 2 days, and one of them was Kit Green. He's been part of the SRI and stuff like that. And interesting stuff that he said in there. Of course, how reliable is it? Well, it seems to be it's pretty reliable because Jack Safari has backed it up, and they were on the research team together. So everything. At first, I thought he might be, just giving me a bunch of, information so I would talk or something.
Right.
But it turns out he was pretty forthright at the time. But it was a 2-day meeting, and the reason I say it was CIA, he was a CIA analyst himself, and he said he was retired, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I know any retired CIA people. I think they're still working. So he was with a group of 8 people, all medical and scientists.
Okay.
They worked out of Las Vegas. It's in the book. He was sponsored, paid for by Bigelow Industries. It's in the book. So there's a lot of familiar players with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so yeah, the question. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Well, we're getting down to the last 10 minutes of the show. We do have a couple of questions from the viewers that I did want to get to because we like to throw in some questions from them as well.
Great.
So from first one, Kenny Orton, has Jim wondered why he was left unaffected during this time so you could observe? Going back to why the airmen that were there were basically, it seemed like they were comatose while you were still able to walk around pretty freely. So,
according to Kit Green in the Rockford Colloquium meeting, apparently this phenomenon, they have looked at 50 people, about 50, and the farther away you are, the more likely you are to whatever your mental framework is, you might imagine stuff. And that, for example, if you think it's going to be fairies, it's going to be fairies there.
right.
If you think it's going to be aliens, it's going to be aliens. I mean, but the closer you get, and finally to this bubble that's around, which I was in, he thinks that was an area that was like a no-go area. It was the area where you see it for what it is. And that's why he wanted to talk to me back in 4 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to run tests, which I refused. He wants to do DNA testing. It's in a book, but he says that he is sure that a signature is left inside my brain from being there and being exposed to this. And he wanted to test me. I went, no.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a question down here from General All 7. Were you put under hypnosis at all?
The hypnosis I did was in 1994, a year after I got out of the service, retired. And it was because I couldn't sleep. So I went to my medical doctor, and she's like, I can't help you. And, all I can do is just give you some, medication.
Yeah.
And she said, but maybe what you need is a psychiatrist. So she referred me to a psychiatrist. This is through the VA.
Sure.
And so I said, yeah, anything so I can sleep. I was down to about an hour and a half a night. I mean, I was a bear. I was just terrible. I couldn't even concentrate. And anyway, I went there for about 6 weeks with her. And after about 6 sessions, she says, I think something happened in your life, trauma. And she says, I'd like to do a regression, hypnosis. I says, okay. Anything that will make me better.
Yeah.
And I says, I got really worried. She said, I hope something wasn't like I was abused as a child or something like that was in there,
Right.
I didn't know. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know if it's repressed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll go through it, and that's after first session. And by the way, the video is her notes that she took. She videoed them at that time. And at the end of the 2 sessions, she gave me the video. I have all of it.
Nice.
Hypnosis.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. They'd be worried about lawsuits today. They wouldn't do it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after the first video, the first session, I mean, I come out of it and I feel great. I've never felt that good. I felt wonderful.
Good.
But here's the psychiatrist, and her jaw's on the table. And she says, I think we're going to need a second session. I says, really? I said, I feel pretty good. She says, well, we're going to have to talk about Woodbridge. I went, oh, no. Yeah. And so we did a second one. And that's where a lot of the, she asked me how I felt about Burroughs, how I felt about what the situation. She asked me about that stuff.
Right.
It's all on tape. So I took that and I put it in the book.
And that's what's in the book. Yeah.
So when I'm out there, that's
because you're and I've seen interviews with you and Burroughs together before and revisiting the forest and stuff like that, and you seemed really flustered in the book with him. I was like, that's a little different impression than I got, than seeing the interviews. So
yeah, Hollywood's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do. They do a good job in those videos, those production companies. I really. No, I mean, unfortunately, I don't want to sit there and badger him.
No, you don't have to.
He just doesn't remember nothing. I'll tell you why. I think he remembered it 72 hours afterwards because we're in Halt's office. He talks about craft objects just like I did. I mean, so he knew then. But he's got himself involved in this ufology stuff where you have people doing hypnosis that are like ufologists. And I looked at the films they did. I never seen the beginning. I never seen the end on the films.
Gotcha.
They were always cut off. I went, geez, they could make him say anything. He says he
Okay.
doesn't remember anything. So I told him, I says, don't do no research. I says, your answers are in your head. All you got to do is remember.
Yeah, if the memory's there, then yeah.
Yeah. So Chuck Holt and I asked him, recommended to him that he go. This is 5 years ago. You need to go to the VA, to the mental health. Maybe they can help you on it. And of course, he never did.
Right.
So unfortunately, there's a lot of sad things with Rendlesham, a lot of sad things with the people involved.
Seems like it. Something that was also pretty interesting to me about this. We talked about the time displacement, but also when you described what seemed to be the landing gear, but it was just really beams of light, but yet they made impressions on the forest floor. And I haven't gotten far enough into there yet, but you ended up making casts of this. But that was really interesting to me, that light could make such an impression into the ground like that.
I agree. But it's even stranger to see. I mean, you can see the beams of light coming down, and then you see an inch and a half impressions, pie plate in the size. You go, okay, must be from the light.
Is anybody? Go ahead, Vanessa.
Did the temperature appear to change around the craft? Because it's December in England. It's not warm.
No, I'll tell you what, it's that bone chilling 33 degrees, sort of, you just got a little freezing fog going on and stuff, it's that kind of stuff. But the craft was warm to touch. I would guess it was like 50, 55 degrees. But, the next morning when the base sent out the team and Sergeant Neville's, which is addressed in the book, he does the investigation on the first night, my night, and he does radiation sampling. It's like 100 times higher. I think in the book he says 10 times. That's why it was warm. He took pictures and developed them himself. He does a hobby of his. None of his turned out either. Wow. He says the radiation of beta levels were very high, which would cause for the warmth in that of the object. And so what I was touching wasn't warmth; it was radiation. I mean, it was warm. But I still have my hands. I still got my skin.
There you go.
That's why I'm fascinated by your lack of physical controversy in regards to being in such close proximity to this. I'm a little shocked. I'm not going to lie to you. Leads me to believe that there's a possibility that if they had scouted out the location, they knew who would respond. You see where I'm going with that?
It's not a bad idea, actually. If you're thinking, or some of the people that you're working with are thinking that this is us from the future, is it possible?
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe that book survives.
Maybe. I
don't know. Who knows? All I know is that everything that seemed like it was a coincidence. Everything involved with Rendlesham, even writing the book and different things in different parts of our research, I always thought it was a coincidence or this by chance. Somewhere around the 40th or 50th thing happened with it. There was a coincidence. I told my co-author Gary, I says, Gary, this is by design.
Yes.
We think it's by design. When we think something critical gets out, and it has stuff that we didn't want out yet, I says we're not going to worry about it because no one's going to realize what they got, and they just overlook it. It's like it's okay. Anytime we have a dilemma that comes up, it gets fixed. We say it's by design.
Good.
I mean, or else we're just really, really lucky people.
Who better to contact you than the you from your future to put you on the path that the future you felt the present you needed to be on?
Yeah, and one of the things, I had all those impressions with at Running the Craft, and those are feelings, and some of them were actually the binary message that was decoded. I didn't know at the time until 30 years later, and that was found by accident. Overlooking my shoulder on a film shoot in Phoenix, Linda Moulton Howe and John Burroughs said, "What's that?" And I went, "Oh, I'm going to talk about my metal breakdown." "Oh, no, I guess so." 30 years later, right. I said, "Well, these are the ones and zeros I wrote down." That's not ones and zeros; those are binary.
So that's
really?
how you figured it out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. Well,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I mean,
still been-
you wouldn't. I mean, you're an SP. That's you're not going to know binary code being security. So
no. I mean, you know, it's just something we weren't trained for. And besides,
right.
the culture at the time, the technology, you know, we didn't have.
Right.
I mean, there probably was computers in the world in 1980, but we didn't have any.
The PC was
you know?
just coming out. I mean, what was the Apple IIe was just out at that time. So yeah, it was.
Yeah,
not,
and then why would it be GPS coordinates that was from back then? And by the way, when the GPS coordinates on the binary was done, Gary only had a window of opportunity of like a year and a half to decipher that.
Oh wow!
The code within code.
Okay.
Yeah, guess what? That Google changed all their settings. They kept.
Okay.
So.
Well, I do have a screenshot of at least one of the translations that was aired. So these are the coordinates, right?
They sure are.
Okay. There we go.
Wow.
All right. Well, Jim, I hate to do this. We're actually at the end of our show.
You know what? And I left so much stuff out. There's just so much stuff to talk about.
We could go a couple more minutes. What else do you want to get out real quick?
What I want people to go ahead and obtain a copy of the book.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Then I want them to contact me if they still have questions. By the way, no one has contacted me with questions yet. They've just been. Oh no! I had a guy today ask me questions. He does a blog, and I says, "Well, watch the show tonight." I said, "I'm probably going to answer it." And he had some good questions, though. You know, he asked me, some of the disinformation and stuff. You know, like, do you see people disappear? Oh, no. And yeah, I mean, no. Things like that. I was like, there's so much information. Here's what the book doesn't try to convince you of anything. I don't want to do that because I don't really believe in ufology stuff anyway. But it happened to me. Okay.
Right.
What the book is for is to present the facts, and you see the end notes. Those are all factual. They're witness testimony. They're evidence. And what we want you to do is we want you to read it and make up your own mind. You guys are brilliant people. You're human beings. You can make up your own mind and stuff and your own decisions on it. And at least we can provide you the facts as was documented and as I recall and as I remember, and the stuff that's been backed up by other witnesses. And what you really have here, by the way, is a mass sighting, in case you don't know it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did include down in the description of our live stream the link to Jim's book, so you can get it there. And actually, Quarantine Ghost has also put it into the chat. So thank you for our moderator, Quarantine Ghost, which she was also asking if you're doing, once the quarantine is over, if you're going to be doing any live speaking engagements.
Yeah, I've had a couple requests. I'll tell you what, you're fortunate. In Illinois, I end up doing several. I'll do a couple MUFON ones. I do the one down at Starved Rock. I go down there because I know the director. But I do have some national ones. I got one offered to go down to, that was canceled, to Brazil. I got one for Phoenix to do. And I canceled. I got contacted in the desert. I was going to do that in May.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's going to be opportunity for that.
Good.
What I like about it is I try to do the events that they allow Q&A.
Yeah, open it up for questions. I prefer that stuff as well.
It's all about Q&A.
Yeah.
For me, because I got to get something out of this too. And who knows? I do run into people that have similar things that I haven't made public.
Yeah.
And they have it in their side. Wait, I want to talk to you afterwards. And I always find what they have happen too is an enigma as well. So, and they think I have the answer to, I don't know. No, I don't have the answers. Every time we get an answer, we got 100 more questions.
You get a lot more questions,
crazy.
but I'd like to think that all of us working together, having all these different shared experiences, that we could perhaps start coming to some answers together like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's why we were realizing that the consciousness, communication of this consciousness, and also the stuff with the metaphiles, or not metaphiles, but meta materials and stuff, and the recent stuff with Tic Tacs, and all this stuff is tied together, by the way. And and one of the other interesting things, I really don't want to bust anybody's bubble on the book, I'll be honest. One of the impressions that I did get at the end, that I say in the hypnosis, is even in the future, they're still waiting for first contact. So
interesting. Okay.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I know, and I usually watch people's face at an audience just, oh. No, I just...
They're so disappointed.
Yeah, well, I guess they think that they know what a human being's going to look like 10,000 years from now.
Right.
Or maybe they're androids, or maybe they're robots. Maybe, who knows? Who knows?
Okay. Well, Jim, I really do appreciate you coming out, and we'd love to have you back, talk some more, because we just really scratched the surface of what's going on in the Rendlesham Enigma. So I do encourage everybody to get the book.
You go ahead and read it, and we'll do another show.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds like a great idea. So where can everybody, one last time, where can everybody find you and find the book?
They can find it on Amazon.com, Rendlesham Enigma. Also, we have a web page that our webmaster, Darren DuBois, does. It's the Rendlesham Forest Incident.com. And that is like nothing but information, okay? You want to find out about raw information, go to that website. He's done a wonderful job with that over the last 10 years. So he's part of the research team, by the way. So.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. Absolutely appreciate it. You
Thank
have a
you.
good night.
It's been fun. Thanks.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was a real treat. Jim Penniston from the Rendlesham Forest Incident. Again, it is a huge book. It is.
That's a big book.
It is a big book. It's got a lot in it. I couldn't. There's no way, but when I got it finally, there's no way I was going to be able to get through it for this show. But highly encourage everybody to pick it up. And he told us before the show that he does not do a lot of podcasts, but he checked us out and was like, "You guys do a lot of good stuff." So we were honored to have him.
Very much.
Yeah.
Hey, if y'all don't mind, before you do all the closing stuff, my phone is getting ready to die.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pop out of here, okay?
All right.
So good night, everybody. Love
Take
y'all.
care, Vanessa.
Bye-bye.
All right. So Vanessa's taking off.
I'm trying.
She's trying. I already killed the Zoom window, so here, I'll just boot you. All right. So there we go. I'll do the shout outs then, and stay tuned for Beyond the Shadows next. We're going to be talking about the different types of close encounters, kind of sticking with the theme here over the past couple of weeks. We had Jeremy Ray from MUFON last week. Of course, Jim Penniston this week. We're going to do close encounters. We did simulated universe and stuff like that for Beyond the Shadows last week. So we got a theme going here the last couple of weeks. So I do want to think, I know we didn't get to all the questions, kind of letting Jim tell us about his experiences, which was great. So I do want to thank Quarantine Ghost for moderating the chat. Absolutely appreciate it. So we'll get to some quick shout outs here, because we're going to be doing shout outs again for Beyond the Shadows. So stay tuned right here on this channel, because we're going to be coming back to you in about 10 or 15 minutes after the show ends with Beyond the Shadows. So we're doing it all here on this channel. All right. So Patreon patrons, Tom McNicholas, Beat3 Airspace, Joe Chandler, Andrew Cox, Dustin Samario, and Trucker David Y. David Yeisley. Actually, we need to add Pamela Queen back to the list too. So those are our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. And then let's get to the Oh, the participants tab. Here we go. So there's B3 Aerospace, Candy Orton, Chris Sutton, Christopher Stanton. Thank you all very much. Haunted Road Media's Fairy Queen. Thank you as well. That's Diane Hilbert. Grand old folks, Betty Lange, thanks for joining us tonight. Helen Espinoza, thank you once again. Jennifer Bloomer, thank you as always. Jen R. All 7, thank you very much for joining us. Jill Nimchinsky, thank you as always. Joe Chandler, Levy Pie 25, thank you. Pungai Fungi, good to see you in the house. There's Robert Hanna, Susie Randall, Tim Schoen, and okay, the list is like changing on me as I'm going here. And Victoria Monday. So let me kick back to the participants tab. I'm going to give a shout out to Guha. I missed her last week. So if she's there, go ahead and just kind of last minute shout outs, throw them down there. Hopefully I'll see them in time. Tracy Christian, I see you down there. Thank you very much. See, there's Tom McNicholas. Alina, good to see you out here, Alina. And I do hope everybody is staying safe. Again, stay on the line. We are going to be coming back here Beyond the Shadows in about 10 to 15 minutes. I just got to switch a few things out. And one thing I did not switch out before the show, oops, we did our simulcast under the wrong titles. Okay, well, I guess that's serves me right for not being careful about stuff. Let's see. Anybody else that I missed? All right. And again, Jim's book is in the link in the description, so please go ahead and check that out. Rosella C. Rowe, good to see you down there. And I think that's probably going to do it. All right. If I missed you, then I do apologize. We try to get everybody, but sometimes we miss. I try not to. All right. So stay on the line. We're going to kick to, I'm going to replenish this and switch out a couple things and then get to Beyond the Shadows coming up next. See you soon. Oh, there's Katie Palmer. Okay, see? Other people coming out of the woodwork. There we go. And Fungi, no, you don't have to log on to Facebook for this.